Hey everybody, Starfish Sicko, aka Daniel here. Now, Death Battle came in swinging with Bardock versus Omni-Man, and people are being totally normal about the verdict. Yeah. And I almost nailed that one down, so I figured might as well go again. And of course, Death Battle decided to follow Bardock vs. Omni-Man up with a matchup that people view as inherently controversial. I'm sure people will continue to be normal and respectful with this one as well. Yeah. And it's only a week away. I really need to start working on getting these predictions out quicker. But since I managed to avoid both previews, I figure, hey, might as well do it while I'm still blind. Sidestepping the controversies for a moment, I'm going to reveal my biases as I like to do. As some of you know, I'm a big JRPG fan, and that includes Persona, so much so that I made sure to go out and get the Steelbook Day 1 edition of Persona 5. Twice. Now, in a twist that I'm sure will shock absolutely no one, I am also a total Joe-bro, and while Giorno is far from my favorite Joestar, Joseph is Bay of course, he definitely does leave an impression. In the first corner, we have Joker, leader of the Phantom Thieves, ready to change the hearts of evil adults that are ruining society. And in the second corner, we have Giorno, the love child of Jonathan Joestar and Dio, who rose to be the leader of the Italian mafia gang Passione. The connection seemed pretty clear to me. Two quote-unquote criminal youths that are part of a ragtag group that seek to assert their will and restore virtue to a corrupt system. More or less. So why is this matchup controversial? Let's talk about that for a second. Well, for a change, it's not because of a rivalry between two overzealous fan bases, though they can be. No, it's because one character takes every stat category, even versatility and hacks, and some say the other guy still wins. Let me tell you something, people either agree with that or they really don't. So let's get into it. First up with stats. As with many things, it often depends on the sources you decide to use and what you're willing to accept. And despite what anyone on any of these various wikis tell you, you are not obligated to accept any of their interpretations. Now in this particular case, I expect Death Battle to stick to the main continuity for both characters this time around. So no crossovers, no Made in Heaven, etc., which is good because I think that complicates the discussion even further. We're starting with Joker. Now, using the Persona series all the way through Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royale, you have a character you could scale anywhere from country level to Universal Plus level to multiversal level, depending on how you're willing to interpret the lore and what you're willing to accept. But if you really wanted to, there are of course arguments for outerversal level that a lot of people really seem to accept. Now, these levels of power mostly come from scaling Persona 5 to the Shin Megami Tensei series, and if you accept that, I'm not really here to argue against you. I just don't expect Death Battle to use this. If I had to guess, I fully expect Death Battle to stop with palaces are their own spaces and that will be that, which is fine, because even Joker's low ends are higher than anything that Giorno has to offer, at least in terms of power output. And the gap only gets higher the more you go and the more you're willing to accept. Well, what about speed? For some, JoJo's speed is very overstated. But I'm not some. Even so, I feel it's important to go over some possible high and low ends real quick. In previous episodes, Death Battle has ranked JoJo's speed somewhere in the 1500 times faster than light category, and I expect them to scale base Giorno somewhere in this range. The first issue is Joker does have some speed feats that put him comfortably in the faster than light range, such as dodging lasers. But really, that's chump change compared to what some power scalers push for him. For instance, having the ability to move through stopped time or spaces where time doesn't exist as a concept. If you accept these for the character, you have someone with immeasurable speed, and Death Battle has shown a willingness to use such speed categories in the past. So, which is more likely, that they accept immeasurable speed for Joker or stick to his more measurable speed feats? In this case, it's kind of hard for me to say. I lean towards them using immeasurable speeds, but in a little bit, I'm going to discuss why in the end I don't think it's really going to matter. This brings us all to the all-important factor in this fight: versatility and hacks. Joker, well, what's he working with? Joker comes into the battle with knife combat, gunmanship, summoning, elemental manipulation, gravity manipulation, healing, regeneration, resurrection, perception manipulation, fate manipulation. Can induce status effects such as poison and sleep, mind control, death manipulation, purification, stat amplification, durability negation, cognition, and can resist all that and more, and can resist being conceptually erased. You know, just some standard JRPG powers. Well, after covering all of this, you might just be wondering what Giorno even has in this matchup. Well, he has Return to Zero. Yeah, that's the elephant in the room, isn't it? For this prediction, heck, the discussion in general, gold experience, Giorno's normal stand doesn't matter. His creative use of his powers throughout his entire adventure doesn't matter. All that matters is gold experience requiem, or GER for short. Very quickly, for those who don't know, GER's ability is to reset any action, intent, or will of an individual back to zero. That includes a person's death, which can create an infinite death loop. And because of the stand stats, this is supposed to happen in a conceptual instant. So the debate tends to go a little something like this. Gunshots? Return to zero. Megadolon? Return to zero. Vorpal Blade? Return to zero. Death manipulation? Return to zero. Satnel and conceptual manipulation? Return to zero. Can you see how such a debate might get a little bit annoying? Rebuttal to GER's ability to include things like the no limits fallacy, or pointing out that it's been used all of once and we really don't have all that much context to it and fans oversell it. And even I'll be one to admit that I find debating the finer points of this stand's ability really hard. Some of it even goes over my head. And then you just have the topic of the massive stat disadvantages. For example, nothing in JoJo's really has something like GER going up against an Universal level character if you choose to accept Joker being that high. All that being said, to me, the stats seem to break down like this. Joker's going to take strength / attack potency and versatility and is just a way better dancer. And while there's a good argument that Giorno might be more intelligent because of his use of golden experience, at the end of the day, he really just has gold experience requiem as his main advantage. Experience, I can see an argument for them being roughly equivalent to each other, but speed is really the most contentious thing, and I sort of see it as a toss-up. Even if they do end up granting immeasurable speed to Joker, I see them just saying that GER's ability instantaneously matches it. So I kind of left that one a tie. To me, this just means whether or not it'll come down to if Death Battle thinks Joker can power through GER, possibly with immeasurable speed or one of his hacks abilities that they believe is superior, or whether or not they believe there's something in the games that show Joker could resist Gold Experience Requiem completely. After all, if Giorno's one thing doesn't work, then it's a massive stomp in Joker's favor. One does have to wonder, is Death Battle more likely to analyze Joker in a way that lets him supersede an OP ability, or are they going to show that sometimes stats don't matter? This all being said, I do not believe in predicting ties, and while some people are arguing for one, I will not. And so, my official prediction is... Giorno Giovanna. Last time, please remember this is a prediction for what I think Death Battle will do, not an official analysis of both characters. Please and thank you. While I don't expect the same level of backlash that Omni-Man caused, this episode is sure to be contentious, so let's talk about why I think they're going to go this way. First, I just don't expect them to use Shin Megami Tensei scaling, or any other sources that might give Joker some sort of a boost. If you are hoping for an Autoversal level Joker, I think you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Though I will admit part of this comes from Liam saying in the past that he buys universal and higher scaling for Joker. As for speed, you are likely to get your immeasurable speed, but I do not see it mattering in the case of Gold Experience Requiem, at least not for Death Battle. With Gold Experience Requiem's speed ranked at 0 in the guidebooks, and I do expect them to pull this up on the episode, I expect them to buy into it as an automatic conceptual response. So those hoping for a speed blitz are just likely not to get it. Well, how will Gold Experience Requiem kill Joker, I hear you ask? Let's be honest, the entire analysis is going to turn into can Joker get past GER, and can GER do anything to Joker? So how do I think Death Battle is going to look at it? Both of these characters have surpassed the odds and exerted their will onto reality. Joker especially is almost impossible to put down. Between his persona abilities and coming back from having his existence erased, it's hard to justify much more than a stalemate. Except, I think Death Battle is going to look at his best examples as circumstantial, and regardless of whether or not you think they should, that's what my gut's telling me right now. There will be no power of friendship here. I just don't picture them having him thinking of Kawamami here and powering through with one final attack. I just don't see it happening. As a bonus, I am also going to say that I strongly suspect there will be at least 2 fake-outs in this episode. One that will lead to the emergence of Gold Experience Requiem, and then another where Joker summons Satnel or something similar and shouts, "Begone," making it look like he's about to win, only for that too to be returned to 0, until there's nothing left but a kid in a school uniform. Maybe I'm way off base. You know, I was wrong once, but divorce cleared that right up. And I think predicting this one is as close to a coin flip as I can possibly get, but I'm picking one, and Giorno is going to join his 2 dads in a victory trifecta. I know some Persona fans wanted to stop a JoJo win streak, but that's likely gonna have to wait for Jolene's episode. Now, I know I lost at least half of the audience by this point because people usually only come to prediction videos to have their biases confirmed, but for those of you that stuck around, I just want to say thank you. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I try to respond to everyone when I have time. And try to remember that versus debating is all for fun and not to take this so seriously that it causes you an aneurysm. If you enjoyed this little prediction, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing the video around. And maybe sticking around for some of the other content I put out. I mostly do videos on Superman comics and Superman scaling. But I do occasionally toss in my own matchups, and I do like to do these prediction videos, at least for characters that I like or know anything about. Anyway, that's been Daniel with Truth, Justice, and all of that nonsense. I'll catch you all next time.